I find frontside rotations one of the most interesting aspects of freestyle snowboarding, and that's because there's so many different philosophies on how to do them. You can do them super flat, super flippy, or the new constant cork. Each one of these different styles comes with its own advantages and disadvantages, and in this video we're going to break down each one of them so you can get a better understanding of what these pros are doing and why, and in the process hopefully learn a couple of things that you can implement into your own riding. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Starting with the OG, the flat spin. Flat spinning is the most popular way to approach frontside spins, and that's because of a couple things. First of all, you don't need to take the extra risk of adding more axes of rotation. Because you're only rotating on one axis, you're really protected. That's because your snowboard sort of acts like a shield. So look at Renée here lacing this frontside 18. He's on the same rotation the whole way and his board's under him the whole way. So if he knuckles, goes big, lands in any funk, he doesn't really need to worry about getting massively slammed. The downside is you need a lot more power and you're landing with a lot more maximum rotation velocity, and that's why it's so hard to stomp these. Like, look at how he needs to dig in his edge. So you see flat spins the most common because they're safest. You don't need to go and do a flip, what's really scary, but the downside is they take a lot more power because you're only rotating on one axis of rotation. The second way of spinning frontside is completely inverted. This is one of the most simple and predictable ways of spinning, and it's really nice for inconsistent takeoffs or really kicky jumps because you're throwing it a lot more like a backflip. But the downsides are massive, and they all have to do with injury. Notice here as he's finishing his rotation, he's completely blind with his back coming to the landing. So traveling 100 feet, and now at the most crucial part of the landing, he can't see what's going on. This makes it so if he under rotates, hits the knuckle, you're going to be resulting in a massive slam, making this the most scary and risky way to go and rotate frontside spins. Let's break it down a little bit. See, as he throws, his chest is only rotated 90 degrees, and he's throwing straight over his tail, sort of just like a cab underflip. This is making it so you can go and rotate into a backflip kind of style, and then to continue the rotation, you take your shoulder and drop it down, sort of like a switchback 5. But once you start doing it 18, you need to now repeat this motion 3 times. Each time you go and drop your shoulder down, you're going to be blind. And not only that, you're blind on a very scary axis of rotation. So this is one of the most simple ways of spinning. It's one of the OG ways made super famous by Mark, Max Perot, but the risks associated with it are extreme. And this brings us sort of into the middle ground, and that is spinning on the triple flip, but going and holding your spot and adding a lot of separation of your head. Liam Brayley and Max Perot are the two best guys at this, and let's see what's going on here. So first thing we can really notice is he's throwing his arms a lot more into a rotation. That's because he's trying to get the first 720 out of the way as fast as possible. So let's go and slow it down. 360, 720. So instead, where the quad cork was being done and he was dipping after 540, Liam here is pulling his head all the way around into 720 before starting the dip. Now watch his head position. See how he's at 7, head locked in, and now he whips it around. 1080, head locks back in, holds it there, whips it around. 1440, and now he continues it going all the way through. So this way minimizes a lot of the risk because look at how he finishes his 1800. Chest coming down, can see the whole way, and now he can use counter rotation to finish the spin. So he has a whole like 360 degrees of rotation to go, lessen it up, really easy to under rotate. If you hit the knuckle, if you overshoot, you just have a lot more control because you have a lot more visibility, not being blind coming into the landing. It's a really good style, but it's mostly popular because of our airbag here at Maximize is really kicky, so it really favors flippy styles of spinning, and we're not really seeing it out of a new generation that's coming up and training on these state-of-the-art airbags. And this brings us into the next style, the double cork style. I actually filmed this clip of my friend Neko, really talented whistler boarder, and I love this style of spinning front side. Adding a little bit of cork is really nice, and it works so good up into 14s. So what is he doing here? Mostly he's throwing it like a flat spin. See how his chest is coming in and staying completely flat and going across? And then he's just adding a little bit of dip with his head right at the end of the takeoff. So this makes it so you don't really need to make many drastic changes from your flat spin over to your double spin. And the whole point of this is to go and not worry about spotting for the first bit. You can see he's getting a little bit of a spot here, but he's pulling his head around to get to that 720, just like we were seeing with Liam. The big difference here is the axis rotation. See how he's super over the nose and his head is looking down? This is going to make it so he's preemptively set up to come into the landing. So all he needs to do here is now pull his chest up and around, and we can see that, taking his body and pulling it around, flattening it out. And this gets you into this 1080 position with your upper body rotated on the perfect axis rotation to just disconnect the upper and lower body and pull it through. So if you're trying to get up to 14s, I really like this style. Getting comfortable with the cork makes front 7s look super steezy, makes front 10s a walk in the park, and moving up to frontside 14, it's probably one of the easiest ways to go and get through it because you're getting that added advantage of that little bit of cork, you're spotting from the most important part of the rotation, and you're coming in with a very comfortable motion. Anyone who spins like back 9s, back 12, at this stage right here, you're basically on that exact axis. So you're using a lot of muscle memory that you'll learn as you're progressing these other freestyle principles. The hardest part is probably getting that 720, 900 down, that little bit of initial cork in the first place, but it's a really good consistent style and I absolutely love it and I'm planning on learning it. And that brings us into the big dog, the constant cork. This is the most trippy and hardest way to learn frontside spins, to the extent that we don't really see many Western snowboarders doing it. It's a really big thing from the Japanese riders and those kinds of guys, but it uses a lot of different principles, but the benefits are absolutely absurd. So watch the head position here. So blind up into this point, when you're doing these big frontside spins, it's really hard to see that first bit of a spin, but now watch his head. Watch how it's locked on and he's just continuing that rotation over his back foot. So what's going on here and how is this even possible in the first place? And this is possible by something called over snapping. See how as he's snapping the spin, it's the most dramatic, the most flipped and spinned we are seeing with a lot of pre-spin. What this does is makes it so he can pull in his arms and get his axis rotation set downward immediately. So where we were seeing like a quad underflip and that kind of stuff, where the rotation was set up, this one, the rotation is set down in the first place. From here, he's now in like a front roll axis and he's able to pull his whole body up into that back leg and set the rotation over that back foot, making it very similar to like a backside rotation. And from there, he's just holding his axis over that same point the whole way. So even though he's finishing at a very high risk axis, like you undershoot here, you land on your face, you're pretty boned, the fact that he can see allows him to go and pull out of his spin, tuck in, and make any adjustments needed in order to get the rotation around, making it the most versatile and powerful way of approaching spins. On a little bit of a smaller rotation, popping up over to that back foot, and watch how the head can just stay down and just pull through, getting that full constant spot, getting a nice axis that speeds up the rotation, but without the risks of going and getting fully upside down. For the 10 here, oh, it's so sick. Snapping the upper body all the way over and dropping that head towards the back foot, getting that front flip motion initiated, and then just pulling in around to that back foot. I don't feel comfortable with this just because it feels so wrong rotating on that axis rotation, but the guys who have mastered it sure make frontside spinning look a lot of fun. So with that out of the way, let's rank them. Flat spins, I'd give this third spot. Super consistent, super safe. Anyone who's a casual rider, you're not a gymnast, this is such a good way to do it, and it's really fun. But when you're trying to move on to like 2100s, 18s, even 14s, the jump size you need and the mustard you need to put on it is way more significant. Like even Renée, one of the best snowboarders of all time, he has to juice it with everything he can just to get an 18 around. I know it's just an 18, but nowadays it's just not scoring as well and it's not nearly as consistent as the other styles. Last place, I gotta give it to the full invert. The risk associated to this, if you're not competing and you're not trying to win X Games, it's not worth taking this risk to your body. There's safer ways to spin frontside, and there's ways to make it more fun and approachable that you don't need to be blind going over your nose for the last flip. So just because of a risk factor, I really don't encourage learning the style. It's just too gnarly for me. The next style is the broken up spot. I personally don't have the air confidence to do this. I can't spot the knuckle, pull into a flip, pull into a flip. I just get sort of seized up and scared. So I don't rank this one higher than the flip because you're not going and taking as much risk and you are coming into the landing a lot safer. But unless you have a serious background in aerial awareness, this style is going to be super technical and hard to approach, and it's not going to feel very natural. I personally like just being able to set my head in one spot and doing the rotations, but if you do have the confidence to have that disconnection and keep pulling through, it is really accurate, and Max Perot and Liam Braley sure make it look like it's super efficient. Then, my favorite style, I'm honestly giving to the double cork axis or rotation. Just because a slightly corked front 7 looks sick, then you can move it into a 1080, awesome, and when it even translates to a 14, superb. It becomes a little hard to do like 18s, and it becomes almost impossible to do a 19, but look at how steezy this 14 is. Clean, you're getting so much efficiency. The takeoff is really similar to just normal frontside spins, so you're working on 2 axes of rotation basically at the same time. And I just know every dude who rotates in this style just loves it and is so consistent and so controlled, so I'm giving it the #1 spot. And #2 spot, I'm giving to the constant cork. It's changed the game, it's evolutionized snowboarding. These guys, because they're spinning this way, set over the back foot like that, they can do 1900s, but opens up the gates of slope style so much. If you don't know, like front 5s, front 9s are the hardest tricks in snowboarding. Anything where you need to land front forward switch, so hard. These guys solve the problem. They can spin the fastest, least effort. The takeoff honestly looks really simple when you get it figured out because it relies on over snapping and you have so much control in the air. Hardest, most niche style to get figured out. It's not going to really work with the other styles too much, and it's really focused towards really big levels of tricks. But if you want to compete with the best people in the world, in 5 to 10 years, I think the constant cork is going to be really your only option. So it's not my favorite. I don't think it's the most steezy, but holy moly, is it efficient? Is it powerful? And do I love watching it? Yes. And I'm going to be committed to trying to figure out both the double cork axis and the constant spot axis. Big goals, I'm a flat frontside spinner, but they just look so fun. They look so cool, so interesting. I'm going to try transition from my scared of going upside down border self to my more flippy constant cork border style. So let me know in the comments below, which one of these styles is your favorite? Which one do you like doing? Which one do you like watching? I really would love to hear it. And if you want to deep dive on any of these styles so you can go and learn it and tackle it this winter season, let me know and I'll be happy to oblige. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back at it with another video soon.